A chicken, oh, so delicious. I'm so delighted to be here with Henry Sapoznik. May I call you Hank, by the way? Or Hank?
By the end of the conversation, I think we'll be there.
By the end of it, so not yet. Now I have to call you Sir
We're
Henry.
working, Sir Henry.
Actually, what is your Jewish name?
Chaim Heinach.
Chaim Heinach. I love it. Chaim Heinach is with us in the Daverhood. Now, how do we know who this man is? He, first of all, you had me at Bang Jew. You had this is
that's a low hanging fruit there, Rebbe. That's
only my doctor knows how low my fruit's hang. Let me tell you. But no, he is a music scholar. He actually wrote the very first real book about klezmer music. He started archiving projects at YIVO, including Yiddish music and radio broadcasts. He is a 5-time Grammy nominee and an Emmy-nominated music producer, and not just in the most important thing, the Jewish stuff, but in quote-unquote regular music too, like country and folk music. He's got most recent album is called Proto Billy, the DNA of country music, where you gather all these old recordings that would become bluegrass and hillbilly and Alan Jackson, shall we say. So also he is a performer, a founding member of Kapelye, which is one of those early klezmer groups, and the creator of Klez Camp, actually dating a girl who went to Klez Camp, and now she's a lesbian, but I'm sorry.
Whoa!
Oh, ladies, please will you welcome to the Daverhood, Chaim, what was it?
Heinach.
Chaim Heinach. Shalom to you. How are you?
Good to be here. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you. We're delighted and honored by your presence. So we have so much to talk about, so much about music and things. So tell me, how did you first get into this love of Yiddish and Yiddish music and Yiddish radio?
Grew up in a Yiddish world. My parents were both Holocaust survivors, and Yiddish was my first language. So we grew up in a pretty insular, Holocaust survivors and their families tended to be pretty insular because it was difficult assimilating after the early 50s. Things hadn't yet, American Jewry still hadn't yet come to grips with how it responded.
There's something happening over there.
I heard a rumor.
War over it, but we're just going to liberate the camps. Let other people do that.
The Yiddish culture was still active among the survivors, unlike most American Jews at that time. The Holocaust survivors came over with fully intact Yiddish literacy and Yiddish cultural literacy. So stuff still survived, like the Catskills and Yiddish radio and what was left of Yiddish vaudeville and stage shows. So I was lucky to have experienced that firsthand, to grow up in the soundscape. And being in Hasidic yeshiva gave me a real old-fashioned education, which I am very grateful.
So a Hasidic yeshiva. So were you Orthodox? Were your parents?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My father was a chazan. He was. He was an Orthodox chazan. Towards the end, he started davening in more conservative shuls, but he came up, as most of the traditional chazanim came up in Orthodoxy. So yeah.
So many questions. For Chaim Heinach here. First of all, and please note, you talk to a Jew for 2 minutes, the Holocaust comes up immediately. This is just the way it happens. But let me ask, when you say your parents were Holocaust survivors, were they in camps, or did they just get the hell out of Germany in the middle of the 1940s somehow, or Austria, Poland? Where? What aspect of the Holocaust did they endure, and how did they get out?
My family was from the part of Poland, which was formed after World War I, and that was under the Soviets, under the Non-Aggression Pact. So Jews in the eastern part of Poland actually had it relatively easier.
Just pogroms, not actual.
Well, under the Soviets, during that period, the Soviets were not, I mean, they were still sending people you know, to Siberia. But in the area that we lived in, the region, at least in our limited way, the Soviets were as benign a demonic force as you can get. So, and proven that when the Germans,
yeah.
Well, that's how it was. But anyway, the Red Army allowed Jewish refugees to retreat east with them. Unlike so a lot of the Ravna who did from my family, in fact, tomorrow we're having an askura, an annual memorial service for the murdered Jews from Ravna. And we do that as all lunch.
It's a fun thing, you know. This water,
it's a real bubbly, fizzy,
bobbing for knishes, so it's a great time. But so it doesn't sound like they were Holocaust survivors. It just sounded like they got out of Russia.
No, they were Holocaust survivors. The Germans were bombing them, and they escaped. That's pretty survival. That's pretty basic survival. Get out of the way. They escaped as the Germans were bombing the city. That's a
World War II survivor, not the I'm
Wait, are we?
I'm splitting hairs, and between the two of us, we don't have a lot of hairs to split. But the point is, it's like when someone says Holocaust survivor, I'm thinking they were in a ghetto, or they were in a camp, or they were hiding in the woods with the partisans, as opposed to being in like Russia during World War II, during like everybody. It was like people in the London Blitz in London running into the cellars. They were not Holocaust survivors. They were just survivors of World War II. I don't mean to be. I am being.
No, this is exactly the conversation I had with the Spielberg, with documenting the Holocaust, where they refused to interview my parents because they said, as you were saying, that they are not "quote unquote" Holocaust survivors. Instead, using a metric, an ahistorical metric, of only using what I called the designer Holocaust. Oh, were you in a ghetto? Were you in a camp? That's ahistorical. A survivor is someone who makes, either by their own initiative or by elements of history, survive. And so in their case, there was a proactive, my father, who was in the Polish, before the war, was in the Polish cavalry. He was a sergeant in the cavalry, and when the Russians took over, he was in the Red Army.
And of course, the Polish cavalry, they were underwater. It's a very strange kind of Polish.
It was, yeah. I mean, no one had. It was they would have preferred being underwater, fighting against the Panzers in September of '39. So anyway, so that's my. So I don't
want to rake you over the coals on this thing. I'm not trying to be aggressive or whatever, but it's sometimes like the Spielberg people. It's different. You know, if you're Jewish,
the Spielberg people, yeah, they relented because they were wrong. And
if you were Jewish and fighting, let's say, in Germany with an American uniform as an American soldier, and you're being shot at by Germans and you're trying to shoot them, you're not a Holocaust survivor, even though it's 1943 and you're on German soil. You are a survivor of the war. You know, that's my
opinion.
Yeah.
That's your opinion, and it's not an historical analysis. So let's agree that as an historian, I have somewhat more of an advantage of being able to look at these things as opposed to. So that being
the other question for you,
yes,
about your parents is, assuming they had that survivor mentality. By the way, see, you don't have this mug. I have this.
I do not have that one.
So they came out, and your dad is a cousin, and he's a cantor, and he's Orthodox for most of his life. Why, considering what they underwent, and everybody they knew underwent, and 6 million people who didn't come out underwent, why did they even stay Jewish, let alone believing and continuing the synagogue and continuing this tradition? Why didn't they say, "Shtuk God, we're just going to be atheists because there's no God"?
Yeah, that's a big post-war. Faith transcends facts in a lot of ways. There was a faith in the continuity that, I mean, we are cyclically beset by unbelievable tragedy. I mean, you can almost set your watch to it. So the idea that someone, there it is, your Timex. So I think there was, a lot of people attempted to, after the war, assimilate, convert, deny who they were. My family were very Koste Yidden. They were just everyday Jews, nothing out of the ordinary. And their continuity they would never have emigrated to the United States. My family would never have come here if there had not been a war. They loved that life. They loved the life in Ravna. Then they never saw, I do have relatives who came to America, but my immediate family. So I think they held on to it because this was the life and the world they knew. And they navigated through an America that had an imperfect way of dealing with these kinds of communities.
Well, let me ask you, was your first language English or Yiddish, or a polyglot of both?
Well, first language was Yiddish because it was in an insular home and community. My yeshiva, I was going to yeshiva really early.
That would have been Hebrew, though. That would have been
well, that would be davening, and that would be Chumash and Talmud. But we teached in Yiddish. So in Lubavitch, you teached in Yiddish. So it was trilingual. It was Ivre. It was.
I've done that, and my jaw hurts. It's yeah.
Yeah, well, try my jaw. So that's why it was trilingual. So yes.
And jaw. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yes, you'll get over it. So yeah. So my first language was.
So let me ask you now, because of the kind of music that you often play, even though as we know, you go into country music, you go into proto-billy and all different kinds of non-Jewish, non-ethnic kinds of music as well. But when you do concerts and stuff, do you get the Hasidic crowd? Or are they so insular and they're not allowed to do this or watch or is it just basically Jews and Americans and people around the world who like this kind of music, but you're not getting the one crowd that actually does speak Yiddish?
Hasidim, in order to, you have to play Hasidic music. There's a real interest in the Hasidic world now. It's a real change in the last 20 years of a real enthusiastic return to Yiddish culture of before World War II. So old-fashioned kind of cantors like Yosla Rosenblatt and these kinds of, like my father was, Hasidim are really into it. And they were also first time in half a century that Hasidim are really playing klezmer music and really playing the hell out of it. It's really, really exciting to see it become an active part of contemporary Hasidic life. Because it's not like what Hasidic music was for a bunch of years, the Chassid disco and all these like really grotty kind of fusion music. They're getting back into this. Is so phenomenal. So I don't play much. Who among us are playing much anymore? But I
have my ocarina. I look at this. I just got this week. I'm very excited about this. I have a.
Nice. Is that a whole or a full cell?
Beautiful, isn't it?
You got to cut the end off to really get it.
Well, if you're Jewish, yeah. But that's comedy right there. So by the way, I just have to ask, did you know or did you work with or deal with our late friend of the Daverhood, Vel Pasternak, who was an archivist himself?
Vel published my first klezmer book when he published The Complete Klezmer in 1987. And that was the first klezmer tune book in a half a century. And Velvel was I don't have to tell you, he was one of a kind. He was a real visionary. Velvel saw decades ahead. He invented a platform for the active continuity of traditional Jewish music in his basement. He had a whole empire. He invented this world, and no one even is second. No one has done more than Velvel. Recordings, books, concerts, lectures. The man.
Well, are you kind of second? Are you somewhere in the top 5, considering how much you collect and how much you have played and archived and so forth?
I'm not a publisher. I mean, I put out records. I had a record label for a while. No, I don't. I would rather focus on the content than be the person who has to be concerned about the distribution and the distributors and making sure the royalties. That's why what Velvel did was such a gift to liberate people who wanted to just focus on Jewish cultural continuity, and he would make it as easy as possible. He said, hey, you just do the content, I'll take care of everything else.
It's important to have those people. It really
He was great. So, smart and funny and cynical, not cynical, sardonic.
Yeah. Are you, I mean, you seem, you're very, very smart, quite obviously. How would you say that on a scale of being a
all right, where do I send the check? Okay.
No, I mean, you're obviously a very intelligent person. Do you have a doctorate or a master's, or what's your background?
Nope. No, the City University.
Yeah.
Graduated City University. No, mostly an autodidact. That's
a smart person would use the word autodidact as opposed to self-taught. No, you definitely. Yeah. And by the way, I autodidact with this hand, just so you know.
No, don't. We are beyond TMI.
Too much, yes. Way too much.
Speaking
of which, how are you managing in the pandemic? How are you just spending your time? Are you? We literally last week or 2 weeks ago we talked to Vince Giordano, and he said he puts on records and he'll play saxophone or one of the woodwind instruments, so to like one of those instruction records, and that's how he'll feel like he's playing with a band. What do you do?
I'm really not. I'm playing, but mostly I haven't really played Jewish music in quite a while, man. About a year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, it's about community, and it's about who I play with as much as what I play. And I'm really thrilled. I mean, klezmer has taken off. It's become a viable, self-contained genre. I'm not playing it that much now. I played it for, most of my, more than half of my life.
Because you put together that proto-billy, the country music, is that where you're physically playing as well as collecting and listening?
Well, the Proto-Billy project, I've toggled, my whole career has been toggling back and forth between Yiddish and American traditional, the TMI 5. So the idea, I mean, the Proto-Billy project, the idea of examining American popular music by looking at its roots in blackface minstrelsy, which was the whole kind of editorial thing, and for me, that was a whole universe, and especially now, I didn't, the whole point about reassessing the relationship with Black culture and seeing where we are as a society. I tend to look at it through the music. I am still doing Jewish projects. I'm involved now. I have a blog on my website, and I've just finished a series where I talked about Black cantors.
Yes. Now, it's funny. I get into trouble when I use the word schwarze, but it just means black. You're a schwarze chazan.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And that's a big thing for me, that schwarze has been demonized, and that people have in and of itself, it's not a bad word, and it's the context that defines it. And I'm really happy to say, actually, that and if you look at my blog, I use the term without apologizing without contextualizing, because I'm quoting the period prose. The blog series ended up, it's still getting a lot of hits. It's gotten about 60 or 70,000 hits, and a lot of African Americans, a lot of shares, a lot of stuff that reached into the contemporary Black community, musicologists, cultural activists. I got not one complaint about the use of the word shuffle.
Yeah. But tell us about this guy. It was I forget his, do I have his name here, of the most
Thomas
famous
LaRue.
Black. It wasn't a very Jewy name. It was something like
Thomas LaRue Jones.
Right. Yeah, Thomas LaRue Jones, the Schwarze Chasen. I mean, how did that even happen? It wasn't a falasha. It was what?
It's such an amazing story, and I have to say, I wish I could answer that most basic question, because there's two levels to the reveal. There's the public persona, and then there's the private persona. The public persona of who Thomas LaRue Jones was is pretty accessible, because I found he was covered pretty extensively in the Yiddish press. And I've been doing a lot of, I've collected about 160 period newspaper articles about him, a lot of them in the Yiddish press. And so I know the public persona, but the question of how did he get into this? What was the social, what was the underpinning of, because he was from Newark, and I looked through, there's been some fabulous work on the history of Jewish Newark. It was a very active community, but nobody has researched the interaction between the Jewish community and the Black community. Yes. Just yesterday, I got an email from a woman who read the article in the Times of Israel about my project, and she told me that her father was a choir boy in a choir singing for a Black cantor, and I just was so, I mean, that put so much meat on the bones that he's gone. Wow. Yeah. Unfortunately, but his brothers and cousins are still around. So I'm going to be interviewing them. I am so excited, because this then is laying the groundwork to answer your question. What was the environment that created a Thomas LaRue Jones to become so literate in Jewish ritual, and the two Jewish languages, his Hebrew and his Yiddish, were impeccable.
But was he rapping? Was it more like Yiska Dal, Yiska Dashra, Rabba?
It's rep. There is no ass sound in Yiddish, so it has to be rep. And he was. I played his recordings for some people who didn't know the story. I said, linguists, historians. I said, listen to this recording. And tell me about this guy? He says, oh, well, this guy is obviously eastern part of Poland. His dialect is, and they were describing someone who was within the community. They didn't, because the sound of his voice is not a Black man imitating. It was someone who had completely internalized this, and it was so thrilling. It was like a Henry Higgins thing, passing off, Audrey Hepburn.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, was he sort of treated like a magnificent freak? Because within the community, also without, it's like, oh, he sounds like a Jewish normal cantor, but look at him. Oh, let's parade him, as opposed to him being just another cantor. Yeah, Venus Hottentot,
that was the point. There was a benefit at that time, because vaudeville allowed an incredible array of possibilities of what you could present on the popular stage, and vaudeville was incredibly forgiving and inclusive. So I'm really excited. I mean, the story is emerging about not just him, but about the dozen or so other Black cantors, including a woman, who were active.
Yeah, a cantorina, we might.
Okay, yeah. Well, they were the chazantes, as they were. But anyway, it's fascinating stuff. I am not performing this stuff. I'm going back to my roots of being a musicologist and just putting a spotlight on this. So that's what I'm working on now, the history. And it's a good time to be doing this history because it reveals a dynamic, a social dynamic that we're sort of in need of right now. This whole thing about a bridge between cultures. So I'm happy that, and honestly, I'm even happier that the contemporary press of that era was the Yiddish press. I'm talking about were unbelievably accepting and enthusiastic as opposed to cynical or suspicious, which there was. And there were issues of race. It's a complicated story, but
it sounds absolutely, and this happening still within the time when you had people like Eddie Cantor, and we had Eddie Cantor's grandson on the program many times. He's a friend of the Daverhood, and Al Jolson, who were Jewish secular-like performers, but smearing on the grease paint and the big white lips. So it all gets really, really tangled up there in the same vaudeville show. It's like there's this non-observant Jewish person smeared with blackface, and then here's a Black guy doing Yiddish cantora. It's like, bah! America is an amazing place.
Yeah, and that's what the Yiddish writers at the time were marveling. They had enough self-awareness that they could look, they had a 180-degree view of Jewish popular culture and American popular culture. And I translated this one article where the guy says, look, folks, this is not some Jewish guy like Al Jolson. This is an actual Black man who has internal, and it was so, the deconstruction of that was so contemporary. I mean, it's what I would say, oh yeah, this is someone who has like a real strong now contemporary analysis. So I was so thrilled to find that Yiddish journalists of the 1920s took this thing up and presented it because it passed. It was great music, and their Yiddish and their Hebrew, because the shibboleth, because they transcended if they couldn't pronounce it, or if, like you said, if it had been like a joke, like it had been, he would be doing like Cab Calloway kind of thing.
Well, it even reminds me of what was that? There's a band, I think it was Journey, where they had the lead singer Steve Perry, and they go looking for somebody who sounds like Steve Perry, and they find this Japanese kid, and he's singing it just the same way. He's got that. Yeah, I mean, not everybody thinks he's as good as Steve Perry was, but it's like, if you don't see him, if you don't see somebody who looks like he was, bombing the Bulge back in 1944, you think, oh, it's just some white guy singing like Steve Perry. You know what I'm saying?
I had my Bulge bombed. I don't remember the last time. It's unbelievable.
Speaking of which, are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have little Sapoznikets or what?
No junior Sapozniks. No.
But what about a lady in your life?
Not at the moment.
Oh, okay. And certainly with the pandemic, it's very, it's obviously.
I have a dog. That's good, but he's.
Oh, you have a. Where's the dog? Show us the dog. Can you show us the dog? Where's the dog? I love dogs.
Oh, he'll believe me. He'll be.
He'll show it. That's all right. But what's lovely is that I try and swing this conversation around to all these different aspects of music, and you're the one who keeps bringing it back to the Jewish part, which is great. So then let me now swing it to the Jewish thing of Yiddish radio. You did this series on NPR, and I just last night again listened to the one about the commercials, which is one of the funniest things I've ever. Absolutely hysterical.
Jerry Stiller, his readings of the translations of the hernia.
Yes. Don't get a rupture.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I was, oh man, worked with such wonderful people who really got into it. Yeah, the Yiddish radio stuff, you know, it's kind of like the Black Cantor thing. It's something that was hiding in plain sight, but no one really curated it. They didn't account for it. They acknowledged it. They said, oh yeah, there was Yiddish radio. And then,
and not just in New York, this Philadelphia, was it? I mean, I saw pocket, well, I don't know, the Midwest probably didn't have much.
Lots. You know how many stations there were between 1925 and 1960 across the country that had at one time or another Jewish or Yiddish programming? I counted 176.
Really?
Yes.
I'm literally shocked by that, because maybe in California, one, New York, East Coast, maybe 5 stations, and I don't know. Wow.
In Brooklyn, the New York area itself was 25 stations.
Of Yiddish?
Of Yiddish and Jewish programming, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I was born in the wrong era, ladies and gentlemen.
That's my point, is that here this thing was that was so widespread. Every community had some access. And P.S., we don't know how many people were listening to stations in New York, a station like WBNX, which had 5,000 watts of powers in the Bronx. That could be heard on a clear night in Los Angeles. You would be able to, it would go 3,000.
It's amazing. You have a station that can be heard on 5,000 watts, a station they could hear in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, now you're breaking up in the internet in 202020, and we're losing some of what
we've made such progress.
But no, I remember. I'm not so old that I remember those things. The last bastion was WEBD in New York, with the Art Raymond and the Sunday Simcha and all of that. But that was sort of the dwindling end of that. EVD is gone, or it's now Spanish.
I was the last producer at EVD of the signature, the diamond and the tiara of the WEVD programming, the Forward Hour. It used to be owned by the Jewish Daily Forward.
Yeah.
So I was the last producer of trying to sustain the kind of programming at one time. I mean, it was an incredible presence. Anyway, when I was working there, one of the benefits of my being the last host of the Forward Hour, and they wouldn't let me go live. Very little was live at that point. So I would go in and I would go to the station in the dead of night to record my show. But while I was there, I went through all of the files and the record library, and I found so many shows, so many acetate discs of old shows that someone had misfiled at some point, or someone had put in a record sleeve and said, I'll get back to this. The whole history.
How wonderful that it wasn't live, because it would have been like the kinescopes from half the shows in the 1950s, it would have been gone. But because it was pre-recorded, somebody saved all this. Yeah. How much were you able to get, not from WBBD, but in putting together your research for the NPR show and the NPR show itself? Were you able to get many tapes or things from these stations that weren't New York BNX or EBD, but like in Philadelphia, in Minnesota, in North Dakota, or is that all gone? You just knew that there were stations, but there's nothing extant.
Actually, in the outwash of the Yiddish Radio Project series on NPR, we were on for 12 weeks, and we got like 13 million listeners a week to this. So that opened up, that did a lot of the outreach. I was able to, when I was doing the research for the series, 90% of the material were New York materials. And the only reason that those survived were not because of the station, but because an individual performer or their family proactively ingathered scripts, correspondence, the acetate discs, photographs.
We lost you for a moment. Very sorry.
Yeah, I was saying that it was.
I'm very sorry. Are you still there? You just froze completely, and we lost. I'm sorry, what you said. Yeah.
I said that the only way that for the most part that any of the materials survived was that if the individual person whose show it was or his family saved the primary stuff, the photographs, the scripts, the correspondence, the broadcasts. So that's how most of the stuff survived.
Now, where is the stuff? Do you have like a repository now? Are you giving it to a library? A school? Where is your stuff?
My collection is at the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress.
Wow. Very nice.
I was I had actually, and this is going to probably sound weird, but I got a lot of offers from Hebrew University, a bunch of other Jewish repositories who wanted the collection. And I said no.
Nothing weird about that. It's understandable.
No, I would be, but I wanted this stuff in an American repository because I believe that this was a uniquely American Jewish experience, that the kind of Yiddish radio that was created in the United States was totally unique compared to Jewish broadcasting anywhere else in the world. And I think it needed to be in an archives where someone can see it clearly as part of a larger American narrative of true multiculturalism. So I was really thrilled that the stuff is in the American Folklife Center, because that's what they're about, curation. And that's what if the stuff is just sitting in an archive somewhere, is of no interest to me. I curate, that's what it's about. So yeah, that's where it is.
Now, let me ask you, of all the things that you've run across, whether it's photographs or sheet music or music itself or old acetates, what is like or perhaps an ancient DVD? Because those happened like 150 years ago. You get these DVDs, it's amazing. But what is like the prize of your, even if you don't physically have it, but what's the thing that you found that you were the most like, I cannot believe I'm lucky enough to have discovered or uncovered this?
Wow. I think what it is, I think if I'm going to choose one at this moment, if you ask me in 22 minutes from now, I'll think of something else. But what is the most astounding piece of footage, of sound footage, would have to be a broadcast from 1942 of Itzik Pfeffer and Solomon Mikhoels, who were Russian. They were Soviet artists, Yiddish theater and writers, who had come to the United States in 1942, right after the Non-Aggression Pact, when the Soviet Union was looking to bolster support for the new alliance between the Soviet Union and the United States in the fight against the Nazis. One of the big and most troubling myths to come out of the Holocaust was that Jews in concentration camps, when they were being killed, were being turned into soap. So
that is a complete myth, you're saying?
Yes. And what's so astounding about it was that I have the broadcast where it is first mentioned, where the whole concept of Jews being turned into soap was part of Mikhoels and was part of what was called the Jewish Anti-Fascist League, who were coming to the United States to raise money and consciousness. And it is so astounding because it's an amazing broadcast, because the immediacy of his appeal. Mikhoels was a superb actor, really terrific, one of the great Yiddish actors of all time. And this speech it was a stump speech that he was taking around the country to raise the consciousness and money, clearly was used to heighten to like get people fighting mad. And they came up with this myth And
so you're saying that not to everybody's knowledge, there was not even one camp, one Mengele person, one crazy, let's try this once. Let's take the fat from these people and boil it and turn it. That would never, it was a complete and utter myth.
What was, I can't say that because the Holocaust, I think we probably know maybe half, maybe a third of what happened. So any weird thing you can think of, yeah, probably happened.
I mean, I have ancestors who were turned into dishwashing liquid. So it's a little bit different. They tried. It made the dish even greasier.
The next generation would do it better. I think the myth was the industrial rate of producing soap out of Jews. The idea that there was an industrial prerogative to not only destroy the Jews, but to have this cynical, freakish outcome. And I think I think that heightened it. But anyway, that's what I would say, having that original broadcast and being able to put it in the moment, because you see it both in the moment and the outwash for generations.
And where is that also in the Library of Congress, or is it you never post it on the interwebs anywhere? So if you
not yet. I'm that disc. Yeah, that disc has actually been transferred. In fact, those discs are really, they're the most troubling, because during the war, discs, and this was, of course, stations had to record their shows, because the FCC, if there was a complaint, you needed to have an actual document to refute the complaint. So most discs were, at that time, were made on aluminum base. They were aluminum base discs with an emulsion, a rubbery emulsion. It's called acetate, and it's just etched into the emulsion. But anyway, during the war, they needed the aluminum for the war effort, for the aviation and for armaments. So discs were made out of glass. And glass discs were, I don't have to tell you how fragile.
Yeah.
So the fact that anything survives of war era Yiddish radio, and that this particular broadcast survived, is just.
And the interesting thing is they stopped making those discs out of glass and started making them out of Jews. I may be the first person to go on radio and say this to you, but they did.
I think that's fake Jews.
Oh, fake Jews, says the banned Jew. By the way, but I've overstayed my particular welcome, but you have not, Hank Sapoznik, Henry Sapoznik. May I call you now Hank, even though I was calling you?
Now it's Sir Hank.
Sir Hank, excuse me. We are calling this episode of the Dave's Gone By program Suppository as opposed to Repository.
I haven't heard that all day. That's
that's so. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to go. But please, if you don't mind, Chaim, we want you to stay on and play with Dave and his special guest, David Sheward, who is a theater critic, longstanding theater critic, and former head of the drama desk, and to play the Today Yesterday trivia quiz, which is not particularly Jewish in any way. If that's okay with you, is it all right with you that it's more secular?
No, it's your program. I mean,
it is my God. No, it's his.
Yeah, you should do what you want.
But before I bring in David Sheward to the Daverhood to play this game with Dave and with Chaim Sapoznik, let me remind people that his website is henrysapoznik.com. henrysapoznik.com. This is where you can find out how to get the Probability Collection, how to get to listen to the NPR stuff that he was doing, to find out all the things that you can listen to on the old Capella albums, all things Henry Sapoznik at henrysapoznik.com. So I have to unfortunately go, but Dave is coming right in. He's right in the hallway waiting. So please, while we're waiting, let's please listen to the Schwarzer Chasen, Thomas LaRue, doing one of my favorite big hits, Jigelauf verlieren den Hoffnung, Don't Give Up Hope.
Der Ried wird Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
You know, it's catchy and you can dance to it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a bit of Thomas LaRue, the Black Cantor. And now, of course, we have three white Jewish people looking at you here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. And those people include Hank, or may I call you Hank? I know Rabbi I was calling you Chaim, but Henry Hank Sapoznik, the musicologist and the klezmer musician. We also have our wonderful recurring guest, David Sheward. Hello, David.
Hi.
How are you doing, man?
Okay. Just for the record, I'm not Jewish.
That's right. You did mention at one point. You're Jewish-esque because you're involved in the theater.
I'm culturally Jewish.
You're culturally Jewish. I'm sorry. Why did and you told me this 2 weeks ago and I've completely forgotten. I'm so sorry. And I got that wrong. But so I'm afraid you have to leave. We allow Jews only in this segment now.
How dare you? Okay.
Did you know that the whole Jews into soap thing was actually really, truly just a myth?
What?
It's a real thing. The whole Nazis turning Jews into soap was one thing that they didn't actually do.
Well, that's a whole separate. Someone write a play about this.
Right there, you know, it's anyway, because we were just talking because two Jews in a room, they talk about the Holocaust. This is what happens. But welcome, Dave. How is everybody's week as we wait and we wait and we wait and we wait?
Not too bad.
Horn honking outside.
Oh! I was wondering what that was. It's a Trump protester. In
this neighborhood, yeah.
Not too bad because you're in Colorado, right?
Well, no, I'm in Long Island.
Oh, I thought you were. Why did I think that?
I lived in Colorado for many years. No, we've been back on Long Island for a year and a half.
Oh, okay. It was strange. Tuesday night, I had to go to bed early because I had to get up and teach school the next day, and I couldn't sleep. I went to bed, woke up at midnight, couldn't get back to sleep, opened my computer, and saw that Florida and Ohio went for Trump, and I was feeling kind of bad and thought, this is in 2016 all over again. And then I woke up the next morning and felt a lot better, saw that things were trending more towards Biden. And now I feel okay. Well, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, when things were first coming, I just felt this, like, not horror, but just this disappointment in the pit of my gut on election night. Because all these states, all the swing states were red. And by the way, and I've made no bones about this. I don't hate Trump the way so many other people do. I like him. I just don't like the other Republicans around him. But so, you know, I did vote blue. But point is, you know, once I did cast that ballot and send it back to Colorado, it's sort of like,
you voted in Colorado.
What?
That's why I said you're a Colorado voter.
Yeah, because I still have a Colorado driver's license.
I'm calling Trump people right away. That's an illegal vote.
It kind of is. Shh, don't tell anybody. It probably hasn't been counted yet.
Conspiracy.
It's like a mail truck, you know. Or
you're part of the vast left-wing conspiracy. Then
I am indeed. But it's interesting how as soon as I made that decision and got the vote, and I was really angry at everybody who did vote for Trump or all these states that went for him, even though my pen hovered over the thing of Trump versus Biden for a long, long time. And then, you know, because as you know, Hank Sapoznik would say, if you're talking about someone who's pro-Jewish and pro-Israel, kind of hard to beat Trump. And there were other reasons too.
Pro-Israel, and I think not even pro-Israel, pro-Netanyahu. I think Netanyahu and Trump were separated at birth, but it's, you know, they're emblematic. I think Trump has beguiled a large portion of the Orthodox community. He's turned them into fundamentalist Christians. It's really actually scary how Trump has successfully cleaved. The Jewish vote is basically intact. Runs at about 70% as a quote unquote block. But Trump has successfully put a schism because of his Zionist, because of his kowtowing to the people who are the rapturists, the end of days crowd, who need Israel.
They're my favorite crowd. Well, just
crowd, yeah. Anyway, but that's one man's opinion.
No, it's all just at this point our opinions. But we're all making it through the week. We're all, just kind of like, let's keep the numbers trending blue. Let's
steady drip, drip.
Yes.
Every vote counts.
I do think that Biden is going to win. But what's horrible is that there's a large portion of the population that buys Trump's crap about the election being illegitimate. They just believe whatever he says.
Well,
yeah. I mean, if you go
I agree with you. The idea, count every vote. In fact, the one recording I put on my Facebook page that has been my guiding light were Words of Wisdom by the Gershwins. And I've been listening endlessly to the song from Girl Crazy, Biden My Time. Biden My Time. And that's how we have to approach this.
Uh-huh.
And we're just, because that was the thing. If they had just counted or stopped counting as Trump wanted them to on November 3rd, as opposed to counting all the votes that were legitimately cast by 8:59 p.m. on November 3rd, that it would be a whole different situation. But, I don't know. It's just, I'm just happy looking at the map right now.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they've counted all the military votes, which will probably go to
the provisionals. So they're still coming in, and the provisional votes are the last. So there's
what about provisional? I don't even know what the hell that is.
Oh, that's votes with mistakes, or if, say, you lost your ballot in the mail, or you don't think they received it, and you went in on election day, and you had to put in a new one, and they set it aside because they had to confirm it, or there were issues with it.
Got it. And so we're hoping it won't get to that, but it'll get to that. Every single vote, even the mistaken votes, are going to have to count. So we finally. I've loved talking about this. I've also been stalling to get our other guest.
Okay. I thought.
Yeah. We may have audio from her or nothing yet. She's been having technical issues as we all have this week. But Leslie Hoban Blake should be joining us as the third contestant in our Yesterday quiz. We'll give her another minute or two, and then we'll actually start the game. But I've got to figure it out because it's different whether we play with 3 people or 2.
Okay.
So,
to your point earlier, I thought it was interesting. You said you don't hate Trump like some of us. I think he's the scum of the earth.
More than Mitch McConnell, more than
yes, he's a liar.
More than
he's
Mike
a pathological liar. He's a business failure. He's a con man.
Oh, business failure. Oh, you don't hate a man for failing.
No, I'm just saying, but he lies. His whole thing is a lie. It's a front. He got his money from his father, and as soon as his father died, all of his businesses went straight in the toilet, and he's leveraged debt, and so that no American company would give him any money. He stiffs his vendors.
I know the casino thing. Yep.
And it's like, and he doesn't believe in science. I could go on and on and on and on. Anybody who thinks it's okay to inject yourself with bleach.
He was joking about that. Come on.
Who needs? Well, doesn't that?
Are you kidding me, David? Are you kidding me, David Lefkowitz? Did you see Birx's face when he said that?
Because he was thinking like, well, maybe there's some way of doing this. Maybe, but he wasn't really saying except some idiot cracker Southern wise.
No, David. He was actually thinking this is a possibility. I want this thing to be gone. I want it to be gone. I'll try anything.
Look, America is overpopulated. There's too many people. So
yeah, right.
That if he was waiting out like 50 to 100 people who would actually do it and dying with no loss.
No, thanks for bringing humor.
Higher quality of American left.
No, he's a dangerous sociopath, and in 20 years he will. people will see, or whatever. I mean, you know, I just think he's a very dangerous person.
He might,
and let alone someone like that should not be president.
Now, speaking of dangerous people, I see finally a microphone popping up by
Okay.
Leslie's name in the chat room. Leslie, can you at least speak to us? And the answer is no.
Can she put anything in the chat?
Well, no, I physically see her.
Oh,
I've admitted her, but it's a technical thing.
We just see
Hold on.
See her name.
We just see a little tile that says Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's joining. Last chance, and then we've got to, you know, it's not fair to keep Hank waiting. And
there we go.
No, let's see.
It looks like okay.
Someone else?
Oh, it's the Black Cancer. Look at him there.
Black tile.
I see a forehead.
Yeah.
A very pretty forehead indeed. Leslie, can you hear us? Can you see us? Can you anything us?
Can you see us?
We can see clearly now. Yeah. Can you tilt the camera just a little bit? By the way, we see you, Les. We're still waiting for you. Even though it says her camera's off. This is the weird part.
Well, I think she has one. Maybe she's on.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm going to remove the other Leslie. I hope that doesn't remove her completely. Well, you know what? I'm not going to mess with it.
Okay. I just saw
God help me. Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Oh, now we can.
Oh, you can hear me? You can see me? Oh my God, there I am.
Well, we can't see you, but we can hold it.
I am so sorry. I've been working on this for over 15 minutes.
I'm very sorry.
I thought it was 10:45. I didn't know it was 10:30. I thought it was 10:45.
No, it was 10:45, actually. I forgot to tell David that we need a little extra time with our guest.
Hello.
Turn your radio down.
No, yes. Okay.
I think.
There we go.
She's on there twice.
And just turn your audio down, and I think we can actually get started.
There's something wrong with my microphone.
Right. Your speaker, and if you can hear us without us. Actually, I want to hear how this sounds when Leslie,
am I okay now?
Start the pickle.
Oh, David, stop monkeying around. There's a delay on mine.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is. I don't know if we can.
Maybe.
I don't know what's going on.
I think there are two. She's there twice, and one of them.
Oh, that's why. I'm going to have to get rid of one of you, Leslie. I'm going to get rid of the.
Oh, I'm in two rooms at the same time.
You're on there twice.
Oh,
There we go. How's that? Now you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Now you're muted.
Leslie, unmute your microphone. Maybe I can ask to unmute. There we go.
Is that any better?
There we go.
I am so sorry, gentlemen in the corner whom I don't know. Henry, I'm so sorry. I am truly sorry.
We've run.
I could hear you talking. I assumed it was about the monster in the White House before.
Well,
yes, I was defending to some extent, and I took some. For. I know.
I'm going to leave. I know it took me forever to get in, but I will leave.
Well,
good Lord, wow. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that.
But we all have to come together now, Leslie. We're all one nation. We all must love each other and support each other.
But you voted the right. You voted the.
I did vote
the right way, David. Right, whatever the right way is, I voted that way. Yes.
It was not. It was well. Congratulations. How
and
was
I voted in person.
Did you have to stand online for a long
time? No, the voting is in my building, and I went in the middle of the day, and there was nobody. It was fine.
Oh, how'd you guys do? How'd you guys manage it as New Yorkers?
We early voted a week before, the Saturday before a week and like 10 or 15, the very first day of early voting in New York. We waited in line, my husband and I. Yeah. We had folding chairs, and we waited. And
how long did you wait?
About an hour.
That was, considering that, it wasn't bad.
And then that first day, because the first day, all the Democrats are coming out. It's like, we gotta do this now. Yeah. And before Trump stops it on the second day, right? And Hank, how did you do? How was your voting experience?
Very easy. I'm a Wisconsin voter. So I voted by mail. Wisconsin, even though it's been ransacked by Scott Walker's zombie Republicans in the state Senate.
Another person I hate more than Trump, but yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty dreadful. But the Wisconsin ballots, the one vestige of Wisconsin's leader as a progressive state, all the absentee ballots are post-paid. The state still sees that as part of so I voted there. Wisconsin needed my vote more than New York did.
That's allowed, right? Because you have a Wisconsin residence, I assume.
With primary residence,
that's all
auto registration. I think that counts.
I was concerned because my primary residence is the one I sold in March. And so I changed the address online, and they did send me, but the ballot they sent me had the old address on it.
Ooh.
So when I went in, I brought the mail-in ballot. Before I sealed it, I asked everybody, is this legit? They all said yes. I'm sure they didn't know what they were talking about. It probably didn't count, but in New York, it doesn't count anyway. But what I did was I voted on the working families because no, I'll tell you why. It's the same exact candidates. They were the Democratic candidates, but if they don't get enough,
they're not entitled to.
They will be taken off the ballot next year, and I feel they have the right to be on the ballot. You know, that's the American way. So that's what I do. That's the kind of independent I am.
Did anybody vote for Kanye? By the way, any Kanye voters? Just no.
No.
I only became a Democrat on the ballot because you can't. There are no independent primaries. I didn't know that when I started with this.
I don't even remember seeing Kanye's name on the ballot.
What was on?
No, it was not on our ballot.
It wasn't on all of them.
Only in several states.
Yeah. He didn't do his paperwork until hours before the deadline. So,
but he took 60,000 votes away from somebody. You know,
well,
probably Trump.
Maybe from Trump
together across the country.
Yeah. And there was also someone there named Princess Jasmine Hiawatha something was running. And there was like literally 30 people on the ballot for president, at least on the Colorado ballot. Who are these?
Oh, you did the Colorado ballot.
It was quite amazing. But anyway,
is the Colorado ballot made out of rolling paper?
Soon the New Jersey ballots will be.
Henry, they're not only rolling paper, they're infused. Once you vote, you can roll them and just smoke them the way they are.
I get infused, then I get confused. So it's totally got that.
That's why I stopped. I was smoking till about 10, 12 years ago. And I started to get confused. And I thought, nah, that's not good.
Oh, I thought are you going to get us show us the ballot?
I thought I had a copy of the ballot, but I don't have it handy. But,
his ballot. Oh.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen.
You didn't have to send it in?
No, I did. I absolutely, and I had to pay like 50 or I don't know what a postage stamp is these days because they're all like forevers. But I had to pay. You know, unlike Wisconsin fella here, I had to cough up like 2.
I think it's 55 cents. I checked. I checked it online. I think it's.
That's
I know.
Highway robbery. 55 cents.
It's still cheaper than most European countries.
Oh, is it right?
For a stamp, it's always been cheaper.
Yeah, but that's why America's better. You know?
Well, that's why the post office is going out of business.
It's going out of business because the Republicans forced them to pay ahead billions of dollars
into the retirement fund. Yeah.
What is that about?
Henry, it was already having problems before this in the Obama administration.
That's without hobbling it with unbelievable.
Yes, no, absolutely.
I've been hearing about that.
I agree, but one of the reasons is that the postage stamp has been kept at a reasonable rate. If you go to FedEx, you pay $20 to send something.
Yeah, there's no comparison.
So it's never been fair, and I'm perfectly happy to pay a little more for a postage stamp and keep the post office.
Absolutely,
which I think is a very important.
Yes.
I'm Jewish. I'm email free. I kind of like that. I like that idea a lot.
I want to get voting by email, and I'm going to get all my friends who are illegal immigrants, and I'm going to let them vote.
Well, then we'd be hacked by the Russians.
Yeah, exactly. And the Chinese.
Then we'd be hacked by the Russians. Thank you.
The Russians haven't directly hacked the voting. They've hacked other things.
Want to bet?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's what we're hearing.
We don't know, but you want to bet?
I don't think the vote has been.
You're saying that
it's me of little faith. I do not believe any. I believe every, not conspiracy theory, but I definitely believe that if the Russians and the Iranians and the other people are out there, they've already hacked us.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Well, sorry, I don't know where that sentence went wrong, but
I'm keeping my eye on the Danish, essentially.
I had one for breakfast.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're on a roll.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
You could put the potato on and it would look like a roll.
No. Excuse me. What did you say about potato?
I said it could look like a roll.
Oh,
that's right.
A potato hole.
What did you do to the Shubs? How do you pronounce their name?
I haven't. Well, I mean, we've been in touch, but they've been kind of busy with other things, and you guys have been such great guests.
Oh, we're better than the Shubs, David. Remember that if they ever come on.
Well, they're certainly invited back, but we've just had such a nice thing going forward with David Sheward, who is holding up his gnome, and Leslie Hoban Blake with her hats and her button and her monkey, me with my potato, and our very, very special guest, Henry Sapoznik.
Do I have to hold a fetish object? Do I need a fetish? I'll go get a fetish object.
Go get a fetish. Okay. Your talisman.
Actually,
by the way, this is a copy of the first monkey that was made by the Steiff Company. It was a 100th anniversary. I don't know how old it is now. I've had it for 25 years, so he's really old.
And this is a little figure from the Fractured Fairy Tales in Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yes. Oh my God!
Very cool.
I can't really make it out, but okay. If you, I see the little star. Yeah.
So
have you had it all these years?
Just recently, not since the original run of Rocky and Bullwinkle, but recently. I've had it a few years, and my favorite Fractured Fairy Tale was the one with Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, where she says she's going to start a line of giants, but I had to cut it out. Too much overhead.
Good puns.
I directed a play by a really crazy playwright. We called it not Fractured Fairy Tales, but Twice Told Tales, and we had Sleeping Beauty and the Beast. That was one of our stories. But they were adults. It was a girl who looked like Cinder. She looked like Snow White, but she was playing Sleeping Beauty. I mean, it was crazy. And the Beast was a guy with that, and what happens is she goes to sleep, he kisses her, the mask comes off, and she wakes up. But it was very cleverly done. It was very adult and very clever. I'm sorry, it was really cute.
Jeffrey Epstein or something like that, or no, it wasn't that kind of fractured. It wasn't that.
It was for Circle Rep Lab, and it was very, very clever.
Now, before we get to, we're going to do a game here, but Hank, did you get a talisman? Did you get a special thing to hold up, or were you just getting a?
Oh, let's do that. Hold on.
Yes, hold on.
This is actual
WEVD.
Yeah, this is an M44 Shure microphone from 1936. When I worked at the station, I rescued some of these things that they were throwing out. I rescued 2 microphones and got it restored. And now I use this same microphone for recording podcasts. So there's tons of, you heard of Mojo? This is Moju. This microphone is full of Moju.
That sounds weird.
What WEVD sounds so familiar to me. What
it stand for? Many years. It was the Yiddish station.
It was the station of the Socialist Party. The American Socialist Party, founded in 1927 to honor Eugene V. Debs, who was
my grandfather belonged to it. I know all about that. My grandfather belonged.
So that's what didn't become a Jewish station until some years later, but it's So
but
anyway,
it was around. I mean, the call letters sounded.
The call letters were gone. They sold the station in 2002 for the 3rd time. They actually, it's an amazing story. I don't want to take up. I have a whole series of rabbit holes.
When did they stop having the call letters? Because I remember the call
2002.
Letters. Okay, all right. I mean, it wasn't like 1922 or something.
No. It lasted. It lasted quite from 27 to 2002. It was a pretty good run. So
And that microphone actually has Barton Brothers spit on it. It's a very beautiful thing. It's,
no, but yeah, well, the ad, the commercial for Joe and Paul, which was recorded at WEVD, that's probably some of the spit. I have to check the DNA, or as we say in the Yiddish world, DNA, and I'll find out.
Hank, you would be, I mean, this is true, and I promise we'll get to the quiz, but my mom actually had on a 45 on red vinyl of the Barton Brothers song Surus. And we actually physically had somewhere downstairs in our basement gathering mold. And I used to listen to it all the time. It was, I saw this.
Who were the sisters who sang By Mir Vista Shane? They sang that on that.
Those were the Andrews sisters versus the Barton Brothers.
So, yeah, Barton Brothers, Andrews sisters. What's the difference? They're all the same.
But anyway, we have in our community of brotherhood post-election here, we've got Henry Sapoznik, the musician musicologist. We've got David Sheward, the theater critic, and of course the lovely Leslie Hoban Blake, theater critic and theater director. So they're all, and thank you all for coming, and sorry about the delays and stuff, for coming to play the Today, Yesterday quiz that we do on Dave's Gone By. It's a pretty simple affair. So what will happen is I'm going to ask each of you to pick a number between 2 and 12. And just shout up anytime.
I'll say 11.
I'm going to go with my 6. I always stick with that.
9.
And Henry has 9. So I'm going to digitally, because the only way I can do this here, roll a die. And we come up with 2. So who is the closest to 2? It's going to be Leslie. Leslie is going to do you want to start first, or do you?
I'd like to start first, yes.
Leslie will get the first question of the, how many questions we have? 10 questions and a tiebreaker for you guys. And, let me read the rules. So all questions are 2 points, okay? We got 3 teams, and you're all essentially teams here. 9 questions plus a tiebreaker. Each question worth 2 points for a right answer. Wrong answer, you don't get penalized, but then we roll a die to see who gets to maybe steal the question and answer it if you get the question wrong. So the other thing that I need to do is, or just let you know that Leslie is number 1 and number 2. David is number 3 and 4. And Henry is 5 or 6. That may come up when you try to steal a question.
3 or 4, okay.
You're 3 or 4, David.
Okay.
Leslie's 1 or 2. Henry is 5 or 6, okay?
Okay.
So Leslie gets to answer the first question. I'm going to roll the dice again to see who gets to answer the second question, and then we can go right there.
I'm starting to salivate for that Dr. Brown's behind you.
I know.
If I say something, you're going to put on a Dr. Brown's outfit?
I forgot to bring up the Fox's You Bet, but there you go. Now,
where's the celery? If you're going to have Dr. Brown's, go the distance.
No, I always like the vanilla. For me, it was always the cream.
Okay, yeah. Something about the cream, but celery is the most ridiculous. Who thinks of making a soda out of celery?
Juice. Who else would do that?
Yeah. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Just our people.
It's like asparagus cola. It's like,
Exactly.
Anyway, by the way, I rolled a 3, which means that that the second closest is David. I'm sorry, it's Henry. Henry picked 9.
Yes.
Right. So
I'm
Henry
third.
the second question, and David
goes
you
like
get the third.
this.
And then we go in that order. So it's going to be
clockwise.
Yeah, it's Leslie, Henry, and David. Here we go. Leslie, are you ready for our very first question of our Today, Yesterday quiz?
As much as I'm going to be.
We've been writing these for like a half hour, but now we actually begin. Ladies and gentlemen, the year is 1800. A law was passed in France today, making it illegal for women in Paris to do what? It's a multiple choice. And the choices are: wear trousers, not wear a hat, ride a bicycle at night, ride a streetcar at night. Okay, so take your time. We also have folks watching and cogitating at home on delay. So the year was 1800. A law was passed in France today, back on November 7th, 1800, making it illegal for women in Paris to do what? Wear trousers, not wear a hat, ride a bicycle at night, ride a streetcar at night? So, Leslie, the question goes to you.
I know it has. I keep thinking it has to do with George Sand. It had to do with trousers. I'm not sure if it's. I don't remember if George Sand was 1800 or not. But she sashayed around in trousers, and the law was either before or after. She was either breaking the law, or they made the law because she was doing it. I don't recall which. But trousers, pants.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. It's either that or a hijab. That was the other thing that they made a law about. But,
Well, Leslie, it's a pair of pants. Well done. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's an old Alan Sherman joke. But
Really?
yes, well done.
How about that?
Yeah, Leslie, you get
wouldn't guess
2
that.
points on well
I thought it would be later.
No, 1800 was the year. It was just it was.
I'm just trying to figure out where George Sand fits in.
I think
So it wasn't even it wasn't a George Sand thing, as far as I know. It had to do
later.
With
that's what I thought. That's why I said I didn't know if she was before or after. That was where I got.
It has in France anyway. It had to do with during the Revolution, the sans-culotte, who were without pants. So pants were very politically charged in France.
Revolutionary, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It also had to do with them not wanting women taking men's jobs. That was really one of the. No, that is not a joke.
No. Well, that's it's the same the whole world over. They say.
But well done, Leslie. Leslie, you now have a 2-0 lead over our 2 other contestants, who are, of course, Henry Sapoznik and David Sheward. So, Henry, you go next. You are, or as Rabbi Sol would call it, Chaim.
Yeah, both of us, yes.
You get the next question.
Explain to him about if you don't, and I'm sure you will get it, but if you don't get it, that David and I could steal.
Yeah, not David, me, but that David or Leslie. Yes. If you get the answer wrong, they get a chance to answer the question after you do.
I didn't hear that part when you were going through the rules.
Okay. So the year 1820, right? The 5th president of the United States, a founding father, was reelected today. The only president besides George Washington to run unopposed. Name this proud Virginian. So you can take a moment or two, and I will read the question again if you need me to. I'll also hold up our very expensive prop for the show as we ask our questions. Look at this. It's R&D for years to make this. 1820 was the year. The 5th president of the United States, a founding father, was re-elected today, and the only president besides George Washington to run unopposed. Name this proud Virginian.
Oh, it's was it, I think it was John Quincy Adams.
Is that going to be your?
That is the.
Yes, I can't hint or tell you.
No. I'm not asking. I'm throwing myself on. Well, there you've got the. Yes, I'm going to say John Quincy Adams.
Oh, Mr. Adams, dear Mr. Adams, I'm afraid that is incorrect. No, that is not.
You got a new one. You got a new diggy thingy. You got a new xylophone.
That's rather personal.
It's the same one. It
just sounded like it wasn't broken anymore.
Maybe fix it.
What I need to do now is roll the dice. Here we go.
Is it Lin-Manuel Noriega?
That's not the answer. We got a 5, which puts it at.
I think that's
Henry's.
That's Henry.
I just rolled a 2, so Leslie, that's you. You get to steal this question. 5th president of the United States, founding father, re-elected today, proud son of Virginia.
I'm probably going to blow it the same way Henry did, but I'm going to say Thomas Jefferson.
Speaking of Hamilton, I'm afraid you did blow it, Leslie Hoban Blake. No, that is not.
Okay, David, it's yours.
Okay. Can I
walk away with it? We've eliminated all the others, so you really don't have too
all
much
43.
Yeah.
My answer is James Monroe.
Why do you say James Monroe?
Because it was Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, then John Quincy Adams. Madison was the 4th president. Monroe was the 5th.
Ah, but if he was reelected, it would be the same guy. So
We're saying well, that's not what the question. You said the 5th president, so it's Monroe.
And it is indeed Monroe. Well done,
Yay.
David Sheward. He gets 2 points on that. And by the way,
Who was not in Hamilton?
no,
He had a lousy agent.
Yeah,
By
James
choice.
Madison.
by choice, he said, "I'm not touching that."
Jefferson, Madison, Washington, Jefferson, and Madison are all in Hamilton, but not Monroe.
I honestly didn't know.
And John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams is in Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, who was president number 7.
This man knows his theater. Let me
Oh,
tell
now
you.
he's just showing off.
Yeah. And the Adams Chronicles. They were all in the Adams Chronicles.
Oh,
Not in the Adams family.
No,
Not
certainly
in the
not.
Adams family, no.
No.
Was that the one with what's his? Oh golly, the character actor. What is his name? Oh,
George Grizzard.
oh no, I was thinking of the other guy. Never mind.
William
John
Daniels.
Adams.
Oh, Bill Daniels was, yeah. No, but
There
this
was
is
an
interesting.
HBO John Adams.
When
That was Giamatti.
Giamatti. That's what I
Paul
put.
Giamatti.
Thank you.
when James Monroe ran for re-election, this is also absolutely true. Just a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
Even though he was unopposed, one person did not vote for him because essentially not because he disliked Monroe, but he said, you know what? In this country's history, the only president who should be unopposed is Washington. And I'm like, Washington.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a neat story.
And who
I
was
would
it?
have liked that guy. There's a contrarian for you, right?
I'm telling you.
Do we know who it was who said that?
I'm sorry. Oh, do you, Jabe? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
Oh, I
asking.
don't remember. I didn't take that part down.
Is that for real or is that apocryphal?
I believe it's for real. I believe there
Wow.
was one vote that
Okay.
did not go to James
It's
Monroe.
a great story.
Yeah.
All right.
I can see the movie now.
Yeah, it is nice. All right, we've got a 2-2 tie between Leslie Van Blake and David
No,
Sheward.
don't do it. Don't say it, David. Don't.
Well, I'm just
Say
too
what?
much.
Never mind. Say what?
Anyway.
Because he will put one on. Don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I get you. All right. Our next question does go now to David Sheward because he gets to answer again because we're going in order.
Okay.
So here you go. You can actually get 2 more points.
Oh, now I can see it. Yes. Adorable.
Oh, magic. Magic to
Adorable.
do this next question. 1848 is the year. And we're doing a few more political questions than usual for obvious reasons. 1848 is the year. The 12th president of the United States.
Oh.
He lasted only 16 months in office before dying of a stomach ailment. His vice president, Millard Fillmore, took over for whom?
All right, let's see. Millard Fillmore was the 13th president. All right, let's figure this out. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren. Okay, it's not William Henry Harrison, who I think was number 10 and died of pneumonia. His successor was Tyler, so that would be 11. So who came after Tyler? And then Millard Fillmore came after him, who I believe was in that movie about the slave ship, Amistad, played by Nigel Hawthorne. But it was his predecessor.
Henry, we know all our history from movies. I'm just bringing
the movies,
you up to speed. I'm just bringing you up to speed. So.
All right, so Millard Fillmore. What's Zachary Taylor? I'm going to guess.
But is that your final?
Zachary Taylor.
Zachary Taylor is correct. Well done.
That was amazing, David. He should
You
get an extra
memorized
point
all
for
those
that.
things when you were a kid. You never thought it would come in handy.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I don't. Did you ever see that episode of The Simpsons where Lisa's school is putting on a pageant and they say, "We are the caretaker presidents"?
Oh no, I don't know that one.
Nothing distinguished happened to us. Everybody's
That's
forgotten
one of
us.
James Knox Polk is in that one, right? I always loved him, James Knox Polk.
Oh yeah, James Polk. Yes.
James Knox Polk. Excuse me, James Knox Polk.
No, James K. Polk.
We are ready to polka here as we continue our yesterday, don't even go with that bad joke. We have a 4 to lead from David Sheward.
Sorry, I'm doing the joke in my head. I'm sorry, David.
Oh, sure. Our next question, though, will go to, so let's see, we've got David. Leslie goes next. This question will go to you, Leslie. On November 7th, 1904.
So he has 4 points now. I have to really get
wait a minute.
now,
I'm
right?
hearing people yelling in the streets. Maybe they called it for Biden.
Wow, we can do history right here.
Right here, live
there are
on.
people, there are horns honking.
Wow.
Maybe that's why
Pennsylvania must have come in.
Let me see. What's the noise? What's the noise? Biden wins.
No? It says that?
It's
wow.
CNN. CNN has called it. There's honking in the streets.
Check Fox News, make sure everybody's called it. Or check out something besides CNN or NBC.
It's on CNN.
How about CBS News or one of the other?
Let me see. Let me go. There's all this noise. Wow. Let me go to Fox News and see what they say.
Oh, I love watching them.
They'll say Trump is still ahead.
No, the waitress. Waitress.
No, Fox is saying all eyes on battleground states, as Fox News is not calling it.
Maybe it's just a traffic jam, David.
No, it's people celebrating.
No, it happened.
When it happens,
Philadelphia was coming in this morning, and that's
mine says, "How about Trump for mayor of New York?" I don't know what that is.
Oh my God!
No, he should be mayor.
I didn't say it.
Okay, MSNBC, Joe Biden defeats Donald Trump to win the White House. NBC News projects.
Well, David, you have to do this in your waitress voice. I'm sorry, my wife is demanding this.
Joe Biden defeats Donald Trump to win the White House. NBC News projects.
The White House.
He gets a free plate of Spam and some bangers and mash.
It's okay. I got it. Can you see it? It's here. I got it. There it is. Red, white, blue.
Boris Johnson. And we don't want nothing from that Boris Johnson bloke.
I am hoping that Trump is eating his liver at the moment.
Oh, he
without ketchup, without onions. I want him to eat his liver.
The court cases are done.
Doesn't mean he's not going to get. It doesn't mean the bile is not flowing through his body. Whether he accepts it or not, his body will still have that "I lost" thing going on. I love the idea.
And losers are the worst.
I want him to suffer.
Nothing worse than losers. That's why
suffer. Okay, yeah. This is a grand moment.
Well, this is weird. This is very strange.
We'll always remember where we were when we heard
on TV. Right.
We were on this website talking about Zachary Taylor.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's
awful is this stupid election was between two old white men.
Yeah.
Well,
which makes it so boring.
Well, what's interesting,
other than the fact that it was Trump actually it was a white man and an orange man. So that
the interesting observation that my husband made the other night was that no other Democrat would have won. And if it weren't for the COVID pandemic, Trump probably would have been reelected.
Biden wouldn't have won. Of course not. Of course not.
And any other candidate would not have been palatable to the moderate middle.
I just think we should all do a minute of silence and pray that there is not going to be violence. That's what I'm concerned about now.
Well,
I pray for violence.
I hope so.
Exciting. As long as I'm in my house, let them riot. It's fine.
Well,
it'll be a happy riot. This is
protesting.
No, I mean rioting with guns and fire and that kind of riot.
You're talking about the right wing rioting. I think.
Yes, that's the violence I'm talking about. Yes, that's the violence.
They can protest all they want. That's fine, as long as they're peaceful and don't hurt anybody.
They've been going all through Georgia with guns, and Arizona they brought guns, and they got stopped. There was a truckload of right wingers trying to get through to the whatever the court, the place they were.
And somebody, I heard that somebody in Philadelphia was arrested who was coming to a polling place who had a gun and was delivering false ballots.
Yes, I heard that too. Of course, I don't know what to believe anymore when you hear a story like that. I'd love it to be true, but you don't know.
No, but it's that feeling like I was a day or two after after I voted. Like this already a week ago, before the actual election, because I'm in Colorado, I was able to vote early, and I went shopping. I was loading up the car with the groceries, and like there's this guy Long Island guy, white guy in a car. He's driving by for no particular reason and don't know the man. He's like, Trump, Trump, honking. I'm like, and I don't know why, but I'm considering the fact that I usually defend Trump on here. I was like, Biden, and then he starts like going into a big, tirade about me, which I can barely hear because I'm deaf in this ear, and he's already like halfway down in his car about to turn down the thing. But I'm like, oh, so this is the American white Trump, cracker red. I'm certainly not a redneck. This Northeast New York, low class voter. I was just like, whoa, this is what.
Let me also say that not every single person who is a Trump votes for Trump or is a Trump supporter, not every single one is an extreme nutbag. Because it's like
moderate nutbag. No, I mean,
yeah, maybe a mixed nutbag, maybe a few cashews in there. Because it's like 7 million people. So I
7 million, 70, yeah.
Yeah, 7 million people, around 7 million.
Wait,
70. I'm sorry,
No, it was 70.
70.
If only it were just 7 million, it would be
1,
such
2,
a
3, 4, 5 zeros preceded by a 7.
But David, it's almost like what they used to say about homosexuals, right? Yeah. There's got to be some Trump voters in every family.
Oh, sure.
Where I lost you guys. What did I do?
No, we see you.
You're okay. She lost
us. I can't see you. I can hear you. I can't see you.
Oh,
the whole thing went off my screen.
I don't know. Look at Leslie. It's fine. You're not missing.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll try not to pick my nose because I see that you're.
Pick someone else's nose.
Like who was it? Who was it that got fired from the New Yorker? Yes. Jeffrey
yes. Well, I'm riding my bicycle, so I don't know what happened to my picture.
Oh, that's rather personal.
Well, you see, Leslie's riding her bicycle, and that's why she's so well spoke.
Oh, is that what you call it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, guys, come on! This is not fair. I can't see you at all.
He's holding up the fractured fairy.
The fairy godmother here.
Oh, the fairy godmother said that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whose turn is it?
Doesn't matter.
I believe it's your turn. I believe it's.
And David has 4 points. Wait a minute. And David has 4 points.
David has 4 points. You have 2 points. Henry.
Okay. I'm getting into my competitive mode now since I can't see you or anything.
That was so weird. What just happened? That was so weird.
Well, and we all. I mean, this is so great. This is live.
An historic moment.
We can show our grandkids. Not that I'll have any, but I'm saying this is that
Are you
moment.
This?
What?
Are we on? Are you taping? Are you recording this?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
We've ever done
this. It will be on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube.
Yes,
definitely.
put this on YouTube.
It is. All the shows you guys have been on. It's been on YouTube.
Great.
On davesgoneby.com. It's archived on Facebook as well.
That's great. You caught the historic moment.
Yeah. I actually.
David, your show. David, the show that you're shooting now that's live, that's on Facebook, right?
Are you talking to David Sheward or Dave me?
I'm talking to Dave. Dave's gone by.
What do you mean the show that I'm shooting now?
The show that, as you're recording it now live, it's going out on Facebook, right?
We're live on Facebook.
But
okay, that's the answer to that question that you asked me once about why I never got on early enough to see the show, because I do watch it on YouTube, is that I don't have Facebook.
Really?
Oh, so you're just
I refuse.
Oh.
I categorically refuse to be on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. That's enough.
Oh, fair enough. Fair. But the whole point is, as I said, if you don't want to be on Facebook, you can watch the archives.
I came back
on YouTube. Oh, welcome back.
I figured it out.
Yay!
I figured it out.
Ding.
Ding. Okay.
All right. So, back to the quiz. I know it feels like so inconsequential.
Yes, today that we should.
Biden.
I think I should go get some champagne, but you guys, I love Ducky.
Oh, that's just a
That's Mallard Fillmore.
Mallard Fillmore. That was actually a comic strip in the New York Post.
Yeah, and a right-wing comic.
A right-wing comic strip.
It was.
I was
That's when the New York Post was readable.
Yeah.
I was feeding ducks that look exactly like that on the river in the spring. When I finally felt brave enough to go out, I would walk up and down I live on 42nd and 12th. I'd go down to 34th and come back. And there were ducks and geese all over the river. And I would bring breadcrumbs and feed them. And they looked just like that. Or they were gray.
You figure to find ducks, you have to go downtown or find them on the web. But
oh, I get it.
Yeah,
that's quick. I gotta say that's quick.
Oh, I have a tale to tell. But
okay, all right. This is as good
Leslie,
as match game. This is like
match get a gander on that one. Okay, never mind.
Oh, very good. Very good. I can make a goose joke, but I'm being clean.
Well, I didn't know it, but the geese and the ducks hang out together. They really do. They were all in the river.
They swan about or what? No. I'm sorry.
I can't do it. It's Saturday morning. I try as hard as I try, and I drink caffeine, and it doesn't.
People are still cheering.
Champagne. I should break open a bottle of champagne.
Actually,
whatever.
Let's be quiet for. I'm the worst at it, but let's be quiet for a moment and see if we can hear what's going on outside David's window.
It's very faint. It's very faint, but I can hear. You can't hear it now, but it was still yelling in the streets.
All right. Well, we're yelling here in our Today Yesterday quiz. Leslie, are you ready for a question?
Yes, I am.
In the news feed. Hold on. Here we go.
Yes, I am. No, I was just going to send my son a note, but go ahead.
Should we table this and just talk for a couple more minutes?
Whatever. You're the host.
Well, no, it's up to you. Honestly, it's up to you. If you'd rather,
No, it's my turn. I want to get my question. Well, he's got 4 points. I've only got 2. I get very competitive.
Leslie, 1904 was the year, November 7th. And right up your alley, a new Broadway musical opens tonight at the Liberty Theater in 1904. It's about an American jockey who goes to ride in the English Derby. For 1 point, name the show, and for the 2nd point, name its author and star. So, I see our two theater mavens nodding.
Oh, we both know the movie, right, David?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
He wasn't giving away. 1904 was the year. New Broadway musical opens at the Liberty Theater about an American jockey who goes to ride in the English Derby. For 1 point, name the show. For the 2nd point, who wrote it and starred.
And if I can name the jockey, can I get a 3rd point?
Name the jockey. I maybe because I won't know if you're correct. So
David will know if I'm correct. Henry will know if I'm correct, right?
Go ahead.
Do you agree to give her a half point if she gets the 3rd part right?
Well, it depends on the answer. There's a trick here. It depends on the answer.
All right. Let's go to Blake. Can you answer that question of the show and the writer and star?
The writer is George M. Cohan. The jockey is Johnny Johnson. Now, the name of the show. It was not Yankee Doodle Dandy. That was the name of the movie.
Right. Oops.
Aha, I see what you mean about the trick. I thought I had it for a second. I'm not sure. Was the show called Johnny Johnson? Probably not. I don't know. Wait. I'm sorry. My machine is doing that again.
We see you.
No cheating.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Thanks. That's what I was doing. Right. If I were fast enough to cheat. I see what you mean about the trick. What was the name of the? I was so sure I knew it. Shoot.
No, don't tell them to shoot. The Trump supporters will.
I know.
Come up with
Johnny Johnson is the only thing that comes to me, and I don't think that was the name of the show. I don't know.
Leslie Hoban Blake, you do get 1 point. Okay, you do get 1 point for that answer, but obviously the 2nd point, that is going to go to one of our other contestants. Let me again get to my roll a die thing, which I have to find here. Where is it? Here it is. I'm gonna roll. No, okay. And it comes up with a 4. So number 4 is
me.
Okay, that's me, right?
No,
Oh no, or is it Henry?
that's Henri. You
Oh,
used to be 4. Now he's 4.
So Henry, you have a chance to steal 1 point.
Wait,
from
aren't I
Leslie's question.
3 or 4? What am I?
Or I think we made David 5 or 6. I'm sorry, Henry is 5 or 6. So
I'm
here's
3 or
David
4.
Sheward.
Oh, it's
Okay.
David. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to get clobbered.
All right. The show was called Little Johnny Jones, which is the name of the
That was
jockey. Johnny Johnson was a musical by Kurt Weill, which I think the group theater
Which
did.
I actually saw, not originally, but I did see it. It was okay. Yes, you're right. Johnny Jones. Okay, totally screwed up.
And by the way, yes, David, you are absolutely correct. So Leslie, you got George M. Cohan right, and David, it was Little Johnny Jones was the answer of the
Right,
musical.
right,
I mean, Henry,
right.
did you know that one? You were nodding on this one. Did you? Your musicology goes back to the Cohan era. I guess it does.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah, I mean, how many times can you see Yankee Doodle Dandy and not learn?
I got it. Well, I got it wrong, and I've seen it 100 times. So you know.
But they even staged that.
I know. I had him
Production
doing
of
that
that,
little hippie hop dance in my head when I said that.
Yeah.
So after Leslie's question, it does go to Henry. Henry gets the next.
But I'm gonna protect my goose egg here. Come on.
Well,
It's a lovely image.
as a musical person, you might.
Yeah.
You might
Give him your jockey. Can use. Yes, he can use it.
Stay away from my goose egg.
1912 was the year. All right. The Deutsche Oper Berlin opens tonight with a performance of a work from 100 years earlier, Leonore, or The Triumph of Marital Love. For 1 point, who composed it? And for the second, what is the opera's better known title?
Boy, as you know, this is slightly out of my wheelhouse. Who from the century before? You said.
I'll read the question again. Actually, 1912.
I'll be right back.
Oh, sure. 1912 was the year. The Deutsche Oper Berlin opens tonight, November 7th, with a performance of a work from 100 years earlier, Leonore, or The Triumph of Marital Love. For 1 point, who composed it? And for the second, what is the opera's better known title?
Well, I am at sea on this one. Let's see. And 1812, who was writing operas? Well, could be Wagner. I'm guessing Wagner. And the better known no, nope, I actually don't.
Okay, all right. And I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Protected my goose egg. All right. That's it.
Yeah.
I am unbeaten.
You're beaten like the egg. Yeah.
I am unbeaten and being beaten.
You beat the egg, right? Okay.
Yeah. Beat the egg. That's right. I'm a bit scrambled, actually.
Oh.
So
Hold on. So,
all right.
So here's my issue. We're going to give David a moment to finish up his, because I rolled the die and it came
it's
up.
and he gets it.
Yeah.
Of course, it
Eyes
was
and dolls.
room. I'm going to shout for him. David, wipe and come back. Yeah.
Why don't you pretend it wasn't his and give it to me?
I
This is
don't.
ahead.
That's the spirit.
Okay.
Oh, good. So David,
Sorry to keep you waiting.
you get a chance to steal the question here.
Oh, okay.
The year was the year was 1912.
1912.
The
Okay.
Deutsche Oper Berlin opens tonight with a performance from a work from 100 years earlier, Leonore, or The
18.
Triumph of Marital Love. For 1 point, who composed it? And for
Leonore.
the second, what is the opera's better known title?
Okay, so this would be the early. So we're talking about an opera from 18. When did the Deutsche Opera open?
1912.
Oh, so 1812, which is about the time of Beethoven. The only thing is, Beethoven only wrote one opera called Fidelio, which is is it about marital law? I know it's about this woman who poses as a man and works in a prison or something like that in order to free her husband, who is a political prisoner. So maybe it's German. So I will say Beethoven, and I'll say Fidelio.
Is that your final answer, though?
Yes.
You got it, Dave. You got it.
Oh my God.
The one opera I could have answered correctly.
Wow. Well done, Dave. Because the only giveaway there is you've heard of the Leonore Overture, and you knew that was Beethoven.
Oh.
But knowing that Fidelio was another name for Leonore, that's a little bit more.
But Fidelio also means faithful, which was what that whole thing was about.
Yes.
She was faithful to him, even unto prison. You know what's interesting about that?
Wasn't
The way I found out about
was
that.
the musical about the New York mayor.
That would be Fiorello.
Yeah, it was Fiorello. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, all those.
Nice try.
those
It's not
puns.
nice try. I learned about
The new
that.
one, De
because-
Blasio.
Oh, no one's
I
going to.
learned about that because I stayed at a B&B kind of thing in London when I was at the Shakespeare Institute, and the people were Beethoven nuts. Their car was called Leonore, and they insisted on telling me why the car was called Leonore. And I don't know the opera, but they told me the story, and so that's how I knew it. It was like it's like the movies, only it was people instead.
Only it was real life.
It was real life.
You should know that Leslie has a story for every question. Something.
No, but
like,
I happen to know that opera. I don't know opera. You know, I know Carmen. You know, I mean, it's not the opera's not my thing. So.
There's a Carmen Gia, right? That's named after him.
Oh.
And the character in The Producers.
Ah,
Oh.
yes.
Roger
Right.
Roger
Lord
DePriest's
Carpet, yes. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're in our Today Yesterday quiz. By the way, David is kind of, well, not running away with it. No.
He's kind of running away with it.
Oh, excuse me. He has 7 points. Leslie has 3. And Hank, he's protecting.
I am protecting my goose egg. Hold up my goose. Sorry, I don't have one. Hold up.
No, I don't know.
Hold up your duck.
It's goose duck. That's what he was.
No, David gets a chance to build up.
Duck and cover, not goose and cover.
Yes.
David, who is leading by a lot, gets another shot to add some more points.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, the Joe Biden of
He is. He's coming up. So 19.
No, David always does very well on these.
Okay, go on.
1917 is the year. This left-wing political party took power in Russia after overthrowing the provisional government of Alexander Kerensky. Okay. So that is the question. It's 1917, November 7th.
Uh-huh.
Left-wing political party took power in Russia after overthrowing the provisional government of Alexander Kerensky.
Now, this may be a trick because if I say the Communist Party, maybe that's too obvious. Because they were communists, but the question is, were they Trotskyists or the Leninists? And what were they called?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were specifically called communists at that point. And I think at that point, well, Trotsky and Lenin were kind of allies at this point, but later they broke apart. And he went to Mexico, Trotsky, and got a nice pick in his head. Based on that play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Based on that play by David Ives. Let me see. So let's see. I think it, well, if I say the communist, the Day of the Dead in Trotsky's house in Mexico. Probably Frida Kahlo made that. Did Frida Kahlo, is that based on something Frida Kahlo made?
No, it's just the Day of the Dead.
A Trotsky thing.
A diorama.
Yeah. Well, he and Frida were.
They had an affair, yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, name anybody and Frida had an affair with him or her.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to say.
Cohen.
Yeah, yes. He went down to Mexico. And
Manuel Noriega, right.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham. She was
vacationing in Mexico for one day.
Yeah.
She said,
Go ahead, David.
Right.
The communists.
And David Sheward. Yeah. That is technically not.
Okay, I had a feeling. It's just, what were they called?
Well, we're going to see who gets to maybe steal this question. I've got Leslie, again, you got a number 2. This one goes to you.
Oh, because my father would turn over in his little urn if I didn't know the answer to this, because they were there. My uncle was alive at that point.
Can you check a story? Yeah.
And my uncle taught this history, and he taught it from first person, although he was only, a boy. Okay, they were the Bolsheviks, I believe. Was the correct name.
Yeah.
And was there a second part to the question, or was it just?
No, you got it. It was founded by Lenin and Alexander Bogdanov, but they were, in fact, the Bolsheviks.
Oh, the Bolsheviks.
So well done, Leslie.
They had a wonderful ballet, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Bolshevik ballet, wasn't that?
No, it was a Jewish ballet. It was Bolshoi.
Yeah.
He's trying, and I thought that was a really good try. Don't do that.
If I'm not going to win any points, I'm going to make all the worst jokes. So thank you.
Well, then you take that away from Dave. You see, it's usually Dave who does that.
I'm more than happy to cede the joke telling. By the way, I do want to. Speaking of telling, I want to tell everybody you're watching Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz. We're doing our Today, Yesterday quiz. It is November 7th, 2020. And with us in the Daverhood are Leslie Hoban Blake, theater critic and podcaster on Critics Circle, which is watchable on YouTube. Is it still on the Two on the Aisle channel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep telling him to take it off that, but
And then David Sheward, who writes for theaterlife.com and has the David Desk is his blog. And then there's one other place.
Culturalweekly.com.
I never remember. I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
And Henry Sapoznik at henrysapoznik.com for all the stuff that he's done about Yiddish radio, for all the CDs and the archiving that he's done. henrysapoznik.com. So we are in the midst of our Today, Yesterday quiz with David kind of really doing pretty well. He's got 7, but Leslie's got 5 now.
Ooh.
And let's see now. So that was a steal.
I'm on your tail, David.
So
that's rather personal.
I'm on the duck's tail, David.
This is my duck doing Swan Lake.
I got a monkey on my back,
Anyway, guess what, Leslie? You can tie now. You can, if you get this question right, you will be tied.
Oh, this is my question.
Yeah.
Just like
okay.
Am I right about this? Or is it Leslie? It's Leslie Hank.
What is having trouble counting ballots if you can't even keep track of 6 points?
It's a good thing you're not in charge.
4 days later, we're still here
counting points. You can't even do it when it's just 2 of us, okay?
I'm sorry. What happened was I wrote down the names in one order for knowing when your initial die roll was, and then I wrote them down differently for the second thing. So was it Leslie Henry David was the actual order?
Yes, it was Leslie Henry David. Yes, because I was 6 and he was 9 and he was 11.
I love all of his
remember that.
Leslie Henry David.
It's Leslie who gets the next question. Yeah.
Yes, I get the next question.
So
I can make it a tie if I get it right.
Here we go.
What?
1921 is the year, Leslie.
My father had just arrived from Russia. Go ahead.
Oh, you'll get this. And actually, Hank would get this one. You will all get it.
No, I'm not going to get it because it's not for me. When it's for me, I won't get it. So
After 2 Ziegfeld Follies and several other vaudeville and Broadway revues, he became the perfect fool, writing and starring in this Broadway musical comedy opening tonight. Can you name this future radio and TV star?
I don't need to name the comedy, just the name of the guy.
Yeah, just the guy. So I'll read it again. 1921 was the year. After 2 Ziegfeld Follies and several other vaudeville and Broadway revues, he became the perfect fool, writing and starring in that Broadway musical comedy opening tonight. Can you name this future radio and TV star?
Ready?
Leslie, can you?
I can't do it. I wish I could imitate him. Ooh, Edwin, but I can't imitate him properly. But it was Edwin.
And the answer?
Father of Kenan, grandfather of some girl who's acting now named Wynn. I forget her name, Maywin or some such thing.
Well, Leslie, you win because it was indeed
Edwin. Well done,
Was
Leslie.
the name of the show The Perfect Fool? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that was the actual name of the Broadway show. And
I did not know that.
Yeah, before he became the fire chief, that he was more
right, right.
And by the way, his real name
before I knew him from the Twilight Zone.
But do you guys know? Hank, I will give you a point if you. And I'm sorry, guys, but I will give you a point if you know how he picked his name.
Edwin.
Mm-hmm. How did he get
his name? Wasn't his name Edwin?
Well, I cannot give Hank a point.
Wait, you're just for me?
Oh, the point was for Hank. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear that.
I was going to throw Hank a bone because
I take that back. I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, no point. Well, because I can't say it now. But the thing was, his born name was Isaiah Edwin Leopold. So his middle name was Edwin, and they turned that into Edwin.
Hank, please forgive me. I'm such a big mouth. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't fair of me. I was giving Hank a shot to get out.
Oh, no,
I was fine with that. I just thought you were throwing it out for anybody.
Extra shots. I already had my flu shot. So but Edwin, definitely one of my favorites.
Oh, so Hank, you having a chance now. Even though we couldn't give you that point, we can give you 2 points if you get this next question.
Come on, Hank. You can do it, Hank.
This my zero.
1944 was the year. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is reelected for his 4th term. Which of these, it's a multiple choice, is not true about FDR? Which is not true? He was distantly related to his wife, Eleanor. Recent studies say he didn't actually have polio. He was an avid coin collector. He chose the first woman ever to hold a cabinet post in American government. Okay, so I'll read the question again. The year was 1944. FDR reelected to his 4th term. Which of these is not true about FDR? He was distantly related to his wife, Eleanor. Recent studies say he did not actually have polio. He was an avid coin collector. He chose the first woman ever to hold a cabinet post in American government.
Monty, I'll take door number 2.
Which is that
that recent studies have shown that he did not have polio. That is not true.
Phew. No, Hank, I'm sorry. That is not the correct answer. Okay. Oh, man. All right, I've got to roll the die.
Very excited.
The goose egg is pristine. Here we go. I'm going to roll that die. Come on. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry, David. Oh, no, wait, no. It goes to David. It's a 3 because Leslie keeps getting the ones and the 2. David, you have the chance to steal this question.
Okay.
Which of these is not true?
I believe it's not true that he was a coin collector because he was a stamp collector.
So is that what you're going to go with?
I'm going to go with it's not true that he was a coin collector because he was related to Eleanor and he did appoint the first woman to a cabinet position.
Well done, David. Yes, he was a philatelist. I'm sorry to say that word in company, but yes, he was. And the thing about the polio, recent studies are saying that he had Guillain-Barré syndrome. His symptoms were more consistent with that than with actual polio.
And really? I did not know that. I knew about the woman cabinet position, not from Annie.
Perkins.
How did you know?
PBS, from the Eleanor stories on PBS.
But I already knew that from before, and I knew about him being related to her from Sunrise at Campobello.
Yeah.
And
you didn't watch the Roosevelt series on PBS?
Oh, and the TV movie with Edward Herman and Jane Alexander.
I remember
but
that
PBS had documentaries
yes, I saw that too.
on as well as all of those.
Yes.
Ralph Bellamy was a better FDR.
Yeah. Well, they were both good. They were both good.
That's right.
Now, you guys are doing great. You're all doing really well. But here's what the score is so far. We've got David Sheward with 9, Leslie Hoban Blake with 7. So Leslie, you're right up there, and you get the next question. So
no, David gets the next question.
Oh, that's right, I do because I stole.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a steal. That was a steal. I can't. I'm sorry. David stole
I'm trying to keep it on the straight and narrow.
Oh,
Election
dear.
fraud.
You get to almost run away with the game here. If you get
Election fraud. Don't try to steal the election from me.
I'm the one who told him. I'm even helping here.
Oh, good.
Because Leslie, the thing about Leslie, she's competitive, but she wants the rules to be really rigidly followed.
That's right, rigidly.
Yeah. 1969 is the year, David. 1969 is the year. Released today in England is the third in John and Yoko's experimental album trilogy. This one, celebrating their love, features a parody of Stan Freberg's John and Marcia on side 1 and excerpts of their Bed In on side 2. Name the disc.
Oh. Is it, well.
I'll read again if you want. Okay. The year was 1969. November 7th was the date. Released today in England is the third of John and Yoko's experimental album trilogy. This one, celebrating their love, features a parody of Stan Freberg's John and Marcia on side 1 and excerpts of their Bed In on side 2. Name that disc.
The thing that comes into my mind is Double Fantasy, and that may be a Michael Jackson thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I always mix those two up too.
That's what comes into my mind. Yes. 5-1. Yes, I know. We were on the air when it happened.
Someone stepped out of the Stone Age. 5-1. Yeah, we know. We know. It's old news.
He had been on another conference call also during this time, and I'm recording MSNBC. Okay. I'm gonna say I'm probably wrong. I'm gonna say Double Fantasy.
No, I'm afraid not. That is not the correct answer, David Sheward. So it's thrown open to the winner of the dice roll, or it's one die actually. And the number, the number is 5. So this means that, Hank, you have a chance to take this if you know the answer to the question. The John and Yoko album released today in 1967.
Ooh. No, I don't give Peace a Chance was, I think, 69.
That's what he said, 69.
No, you said 67.
He said 69.
1969 was the year.
Oh, so I'll say Give Peace a Chance.
All we are saying is Hank got it wrong. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Everybody got it right.
Stand back, everyone. You're in the presence of greatness.
I'm sorry. The duck is sad. Right. The duck is sad.
I'm the last one standing, and I have no idea. Let's go on to my question, please.
What's the answer?
We haven't got the answer.
Oh, what's the answer?
So nobody got the answer. It's a 0. I'll throw a hint out there. Cheech and Chong.
Up in Smoke?
No, does that help?
Dave's not here.
Rolling Paper? I don't know. Sister Mary Elephant?
No. Both Johnny, I mean, nobody gets points for this, but both Johnny Yoko and Cheech and Chong have an album by the same name.
Big Bamboo? I don't
know.
No, it was called Wedding Album.
Oh.
Wedding album.
My sister would have known this. I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so everybody gets a 0 on that. That's okay. Right. Now, the next question. So nobody's
still. Are we finished now? Did he win, or do we have another round?
We have one more question in our thing, but it's David's kind of. Let's see. David has 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Still has 9 points. Leslie has 7. So.
Do I get another question?
It's the question of who goes next. So that question was. So Leslie goes next. It's.
Leslie goes next.
Leslie will get this,
Now, here's the thing. That means we have to go one more time all the way around.
All the way around, right?
Because this is
I go.
Well, yeah.
How many questions did we do?
This is
okay.
Technically, David won. David won. So this is just for fun.
Oh, okay. All right. So then it doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter. But so I'll throw this open. 1991 was the year. Israel Horovitz had only 2 plays on Broadway. 1968's Morning, Noon, and Night,
And this 1991 comedy drama, which opened tonight and starred Jason Robards and Judith Ivey as a professor and his former student. Name that show. So I'll throw it to Leslie first, even though there's game's kind of over.
I interviewed Israel. I was down in his room, and I can see that there was a poster from the show, but I can't read the name of it.
Did he molest you, Les? And apparently he was
No, his wife was right upstairs, and I don't know that I was not a young girl. I mean, I was a grown woman, so should I feel insulted that he didn't? I don't know.
Well, you were.
How does that work?
You were over 18.
Yeah.
Right. Give me a second here. Let me.
Okay.
I was way over 18. I didn't start writing until way late. See.
Couple of.
I can't believe I'm blanking on this. Makes me angry when my mind won't give me things like this. Shit.
Well, old age, Les. It's happening.
Tell me about it. The first play was called
Morning. I can read the question twice. Morning, Noon, and Night. Back in 1968.
Jason Robards, Judith Ivey. You don't need to read it again, but I just wanna. I can't come out. Don't have any idea.
Well, I want to throw it.
Don't have any idea.
But David, do you mind if I give this one a hanky just for fun?
Okay, and then give it to me. Go ahead.
Well, you give it to you now. I mean, I just I don't.
Okay.
All right, David Sheward. Then
the play was called "Park Your Car in Harvard Yard."
Oh, okay.
And Christopher Plummer did the voice of the radio.
Oh, I can remember that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I analyzed that play.
Yeah, Joyce and I is saying that in the paper that we wrote for an academic journal, we actually used that play as an analysis of older people. So it's not a wonderful play, but it just fit our purposes. But anyway, so
you know that the poster in my mind in the room that I'm looking at just came into focus, and I can see that it says that.
Now I want to throw one more fast question to all of you, but especially Hank, and David will know this because he counts the presidents. 1874 is the year. A brave soldier and staunch abolitionist, this Republican president of the United States was elected today, but it was a battle as his opponent, Samuel J. Tilden, won the popular vote. Name this 19th head of state.
What was the year again?
1874.
I'm sorry, who is this for?
Anybody who wants
anybody besides David.
Want me to say it?
No, hold it for.
Let's see if anybody, because David, you're the presidential expert, seemingly. Yes. So let's wait on this. And
David, you have one of those little rulers in front of you that has all of the names of the presidents on it.
No.
I used to give those as presents to my kids in school when I was teaching.
Anybody want to take a stab?
He got stabbed also.
I think it was 1876, not 74, but.
I have 74. I could be.
Okay. Do you want me to say it?
Could be Grant. Grant.
We have a Grant.
I don't think he was an abolitionist.
That's later. That was earlier.
Well, he did free he had one slave, and he did free that slave.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Shall I say it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Rutherford B. Hayes.
Hey Hayes. The rabbi's musical. There it is. Hey, it was in fact Rutherford B. Hayes was the name. So do you have them all memorized? Is that the deal, Dave? You can
not quite, but if I worked it out, I could figure it out. And that was from
the world's longest acronym, wouldn't it?
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The flop musical by Leonard Bernstein and Alan J. Lerner had a number for Rutherford it was called Duet for One, with which Patricia Rutledge sang, in which she played both Julia Grant and Lucy Hayes.
Oh wow! I don't remember. I don't really know the show.
And she was nicknamed Lemonade Lucy because she refused to serve liquor in the White House.
Lots of fun, that girl. There we go. By
Was
the way,
was Patricia Rutledge related to the Rutledge in 1776?
Their names are spelled differently.
Oh, okay.
I think. Maybe.
I don't know.
Well,
It was a legitimate question.
we do have
So David it's a runaway for David. He got everything.
not a runaway. No, David won. It was 2-4-6-9 to 7 over Leslie and
Oh, I thought you just got more. I thought he just got a point for knowing the 19.
He had already won. We
Oh.
stopped counting. Technically,
Oh,
yeah.
give him the point. It doesn't matter to me. I've already lost. What do I care?
No, I would like to thank Zachary Taylor and Rutherford B. Hayes and Mallard Fillmore.
And Mallard Fillmore. I love that. Listen, I didn't think to put my TV on to record anything, so I want to go back and see what's going on. So
Of course.
I would love to hang with you guys, but I'm really now getting excited about this. So
let me thank you so much all for appearing in the Daverhood. Let me remind people one more time. We've had Leslie Hoban Blake in the Daverhood from Critics Circle. We've had David Sheward, whom you can read at thedaviddesk.com and also theaterlife.com. And also, what's that? Cultural something?
Cultural Weekly.
Cultural Week. Next week I may get it. Culturalweekly.com. And of course, Henry Sapoznik, the musician, the musicologist, the Yiddish radio, Yiddish music.
Just call me Zero. Just
okay.
Is that how Mastel got his name? He played.
That's how. Yeah,
that was how it happened.
Yeah, he was lousy at quizzes.
Well,
yeah.
you've all been wonderful just to hang with. And I appreciate so much for being in the Daverhood. Yeah, sorry, please.
Sorry.
Yeah,
did you both get the invitation to the trivia game Wednesday?
I saw it. Yes, I'll
Okay.
see. I'm not sure what I'm doing,
Well,
but I'll.
I understand, but if you are interested, it'd be a 10 to 8, and unfortunately, one cannot be late for that one because they're like
wait,
8
what
on
time
Teams
is
or
it?
something. It's in the evening at 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I'll see if I
From
can.
8 to 9.
All right.
So I'll have the link up by 7:50. I just wanted to remind you.
out. You know, Henry's like, I wasn't in.
Henry, do you want to go? Do you want to join another trivia thing?
Well, you know,
It's more professional than this one.
I will have to send David. You'll have to send it to him because I don't have any of his information.
Hank, if you're interested, I will absolutely gladly say it was a lot of fun. We tried it last month, but for now, speaking of fun, it's been wonderful to have you. Go open the champagne. Go.
Historic moment.
Yeah, enjoy.
It is historic.
And thank you.
I got to see if my phone is breaking up on this or not.
Bye-bye.
Oh, this is really exciting.
Cool.
Okay, guys.
hey, thank you.
Next week. We'll see you next week.
Lovely meeting you, Henry.
Yes,
Nice
next
to
week.
meet you.
Typical time, 10:45.
Okay.
Let's say, okay. And
All
we'll
right.
see you here.
10:45. But this was it 10:45 this week or was it 10:30 this week?
I should have put down 10:45. I'm not sure if I did.
Because I came late for 10:45. I was insanely late for 10:30.
I saw
It's
your
not
message.
like I can slip in the back of the room and sit in a seat and nobody notices. I have to walk in front of the professor, as I get in. All right, I'm going.
Shameful. All right, I'm removing David Sheward. Bye, Dave. Thanks so much. I'm removing.
Nice playing with you. Okay, bye.
Bye, and bye.
I'm still here. I'm the one who wants to go. All right.
Thank you so much for being
Bye,
with us in
sweetie.
the neighborhood. And ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the 771st edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the Stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, on this kind of historic November 7th, 2020 is the episode that we're calling Suppository. Because we've just had some wonderful fun with our guest Hank Sapoznik playing the Today Yesterday trivia game and also being interviewed by Rabbi Sol Solomon. And as we did mention, if you missed it, if we missed the beginning of the show, last week's show, the show from 5 years ago, 15 years ago, they're all at davesgoneby.com for free. davesgoneby.com.